I am Penny.
Oh no.
Mind the gap.
So hello there. So last week I ordered some new filament from my regular supplier. As I've said in previous videos, the filament that I order, I'm going to call it a budget filament because of the price. It's not the cheapest filament, but it's certainly not anywhere near the most expensive. But it's very good filament for the price that I pay, and I'm really happy with it. As you see my R2 in the background, that's been printed with filament from 3DFilaprint. Now the filament that I order, when you order filament, you're entitled to a free sample. So I take advantage of that. I presume that's all included in the price. However, this particular time, 3DFilament very kindly sent me a new filament that I've never used before, and I just thought it would be rude not to at least give it a go. So this is Filapprint Natural Wood PLA 1.75 millimeters. It is available in a larger size. However, I personally use 1.75 mil. It is very expensive. I pay just short of £21 for a kilogram of my normal filament. This is £32.28 for 500 grams, so it's approximately 3 times as expensive. And it says, not only does the FilaPrint Natural Wood range look like wood, it positively smells like wood when 3D printing, even when cooled. Now, I must confess, I didn't actually read all of this before I tested it, but it's got a slightly high, it says prints 205 230, which is higher than my normal temperature. However, on the packet it said a lower temperature. But however, there's lots of data on it. So let's have a little look at their video, and then we'll do a little print with it. So what I've got here, this is my favourite filament. This is 3DFilaprint purple. I absolutely love it. It's most of the things that I do, I will print off in purple, as you can see. Absolutely love it. Now, it's hard, obviously you can only see, you can't feel, but this feels nice and smooth, and it feels like a piece of plastic. If you compare it to something like an Arduino jumper wire, the feel is the same, except that this is obviously rubbery and flexible. But feel wise, these two are both exactly the same. Now this, on the other hand, this is plastic. It acts like plastic, the way it cuts. You see there, but it's a little bit, it's quite flaky, but it's still, you know it's plastic. But to actually feel, it doesn't feel like plastic. It feels like, I suppose the best way to describe it is like MDF. It feels like it's made of tiny little wood shavings all compacted together. It's very brittle, it breaks very easily, but I've got to be honest with you, when I looked at this, my first thought was, oh my god. Now I'll tell you what this reminds me of. Does anybody get those, you can get these little pellets, cat litter tray. You put them in cat litter, and then when they get wet they kind of really expand up. That's kind of how they feel like. So let's have a play, and we'll see what we can come up with. Now, can anyone think of anything that would be suitable to print in a wood filament? So if you guessed Groot or Baby Groot, you are in fact correct. I couldn't think of anything better to print in a wood filament. So I found a file which was a little bit big. I only had a 10 meter sample and I wanted something that would use probably about 5 meters of filament. So I've actually reduced this one down to 50%. I used my normal bed temperatures. Like I said earlier on, I didn't actually read the website before I printed. I just went straight in and printed it. So it was printed on an initial layer height of 0.2 mil with an initial temperature of 210. This is to get it stuck to the bed. I use a glass plate on a Creality CR10S, and just for a bit of belt and braces I do use hairspray as well. And that the first layer actually, well, it failed because my Octoprint decided to, or my Octopi decided to have a power cut. So I'd say the first layer went down very well. Subsequent layers were printed at a temperature of 195 with a layer height of 0.1, which I have since found out is probably not a good thing to do. And like the website said, you do need to give your nozzle a really good clean. Thankfully I've actually bought nylon, which I did want to print with nylon for a separate project, but also want a bit of nylon for cleaning purposes. But yeah, I was rather happy with the results. So this is the finished result, and this is the first time I've ever used this this filament, and I have got to say I am so impressed. The colours don't really show up that well on the camera, but it's a beautiful really greeny brown, really greeny. Now when I bought the 3D printer, the original idea was to print some figures off which I could paint. Looking at this, feeling the texture, looking at the colours, half of the work has already been done for me on this one. Add a few washes and the job's complete. I absolutely love it. The only drawback I've got, and that's mainly due to the model, it actually snapped on the arm. You can't see the joint because I used a really good super glue, but it is quite weak. I did say earlier on it is quite a weak fit. I mean this, oops, no, there you go, that's how weak it is. So be careful of that. It is quite a fragile print, but other than that it's absolutely amazing. Okay, so let's get down to the nitty gritty. Let's give it a rating. Let's mark it out of 5, and I personally would give it 4 out of 5 rating, and here's why. First of all, are there any practical uses for it? Well, yes. It's a little bit fragile, a little bit delicate, so I personally would only use it for decorative pieces. On the video that 3DFilaprint have provided, they're printing off a vase, so maybe print off a nice vase, put some fake flowers in. I think that would look amazing. You can see there I've got a nice little decorative Groot. That would look very nice on my shelf or on my table. You know, if I worked in an office, maybe I could take it to work with me, pop it on the table. Certainly it's not going to be any use for anything practical. I've got some drawers that I've made. I certainly wouldn't make that out of that, but there are plenty of practical uses for it. The price, it is expensive, but you're getting a good product for the money. The more advanced the product is, the more you'd expect to pay for that product. I pay £20.95 for 1 kilogram of, I'm going to call it general use filament. This is £32 for 500 grams. There's something like FIlamentum, which is a well-known brand in the 3D printing world, is £38 for 750 grams. So it's actually more expensive than FIlamentum. It does actually come in a range of colours. I'm obviously testing green wood because that's the colour that I was given. But I think it's going to represent good value for money for what you get. I certainly wouldn't paint over this because part of the effect is the colour that you get. But if you print on a nice resolution, it's going to look really good. Do I like it? No, I absolutely love it. I think it's absolutely amazing. It honestly doesn't even feel like plastic. It's just amazing. So, would I buy it? Now I'm going to split this question into two, which is why it's losing one mark. As an amateur printer, which I am, I probably wouldn't. For the price for what I print, I probably couldn't get enough uses out of it to justify buying it. If I was a professional 3D printer, if I was making things for other people, I would certainly have one or two rolls on my shelf, and I would be encouraging my customers to have something made in that filament. Even if part of the project is done in wood filament, I would certainly be pushing that. It's something that, as a professional, and it's something I want to get into. I do want to become do a little bit more professional. I feel it's something that can add to my bank balance. I can provide a really good quality product and charge accordingly, and I feel my customer would still get good value for money. So that's why I give it a 4 out of 5 rating. I personally can't find too many uses for it. I'm not saying I won't ever buy it because I really don't know what I'm going to be printing this time next year. So thank you 3DFilaprint, thank you for sending that. I hope I've given it a fair review. I really like the product, and yeah, thank you very much. So take care, guys.